I welcome it. It's like, I want to
Mm.
go on, I want to go on, I want to go on. This is great. Something else. Like now, because I've been doing this work myself for so long, and guiding other people to do it as well. It's in the beginning, it was like, when I was younger, the energy would come up and I felt I don't want to look at that. I don't want to go near that because it's like I'll fall into the abyss.
Mm.
And as I received guidance, I started to soothe myself, and I downloaded the Becoming Aware listening practice, it's called, and just a few very simple steps to that I share with people to meet that moment. So to meet that present moment and meet what's arising without resistance. And oh my God, it's so amazing, because what happens is you don't have to worry. And you realize when you do it a few times, there is no abyss. It's all
Mm.
in your head. It's all an illusion. So it's so expansive. And whatever's coming up, you just allow it up. You one of the steps is soften to listen. And it's about giving yourself permission more than anything else, and being
Mm.
willing and comforting yourself and knowing that there is no abyss, and it's okay to feel these things. And you become like the adult energy kind of for that energy that was frozen, so to speak, in your childhood, in your biofield. It's like a standing wave. Like it's really amazing, because I'm into sound healing as well, and I use tuning forks. I mean, it's literally a thing. It's not a concept, which it's so amazing. I think that's part of my work, to share with people that these things that I talk about are real. So when I talk about intuition and, the biofield, it's not just, oh, isn't that a nice concept? In our imagination to make us feel good. No, it's
Mm.
real, which is so exciting. So when you allow this energy up and out, you're really giving yourself a huge gift, because it's gone forever. Now it is like layers of an onion, because we were conditioned. There's more. Sorry to say, but at this stage, because I've been at it for so long, like literally years, um, I can feel every time I do it, and the people I work with, they tell me the same thing. You get lighter and lighter and lighter and more expansive, and it makes room for you to receive new, like, information. But even I don't like that word information. It's wisdom and truth, really,
Mm.
would be more accurate. And just the spaciousness. Oh my God, Matt, it's so fulfilling. Like every single day, it's just so fulfilling. And it's not like, oh, you're happy forever, so you're happy forever. It's more like you accept the fullness, the full spectrum of the human experience, while you're completely married with the divine. So you're exquisitely human and
Mm.
magnificently divine, and you're walking that path every day. It becomes very exciting, and like something to cherish rather than resist. Because
Mm.
I know my 20s now, I used to resist a lot, and I was not controlling, like the way you see, think of a controlling person, because I wasn't. Like, I've always been very loving, but controlling around myself, and a lot of mind chatter. Oh, bloody mind chatter. God, thank God that's gone. The mind chatter was a right pain in the backside, because it gets in the way. Um, but just that kind of trying to control life, trying to control what I felt. Kind of, that feeling of swimming against the tide of life,
Mm.
pushing against life, like
Mhm.
everything's so hard and struggle. That
Mm.
all of that can just, when you lean back and you marry, it goes beyond this, because it's an energetic thing, but you can also bring like masculine and feminine energy into it. So when you marry both of those,
Mm.
because I'm that's a piece of it that I almost don't want to talk about, because then you can kind of intellectualize it, and well, what does she mean masculine? What about me? Or what if you're gay or something? So you don't want to like overthink it, but there's definitely power in, by the way, if you're a man, it doesn't matter. Men have feminine energy and women have masculine energy. Or if you're in a same-sex relationship or whatever, nobody is excluded, you know. And when you merge leaning back feminine energy with masculine like strategy and that forward movement, really magic can begin to happen. And then because my work is very deep, I go beyond into oneness where gender doesn't exist anyway. But I'm just referring to that energy, just because we're here on planet Earth and we can't be up in the heavens all day long. We have to be rooted on planet Earth in our bodies, you know, and strategy is important. I adore my masculine side. Like I absolutely adore it. And it's totally married with my feminine, and those energies work together and then, you know, go beyond. But I better stop talking. I've been talking a lot. Did you have any questions?
Oh, absolutely. I have, well, at least 5 different topics that we can now branch off into based on what you said. A wonderful opening monologue. So many topics and just wonderful things that you said. The first thing I want to start, and you sort of touched on it, you mentioned, you know, in your 20s, this mind chatter. Let's go back even further. I'd love to hear your story from like childhood, even. Like, I can imagine that, you know, this swimming upstream thing, you know, you aren't, the way that you're appearing right now, very expansive and very articulate, certainly wasn't always how it was. I'm imagining that anyways. So what were the life events that brought you into the life that you're currently living? Let's just get a little backstory on you. I'd love to hear your story.
Sure. No, if I'm honest, there was a lot of fear in my childhood. So just to jump right in, I never forgot where I came from before I came into the physical. So merge that with a profound spiritual experience I had when I was around 6. But I kind of always had, there were many spiritual experiences that happened to me. I kind of always knew, I always knew about reality and how this world works. And it's very hard to explain, because how could a child, like I asked myself when I grew up, I asked my guides, my higher self, how come I knew these things when I was so young? So like how life works, and, you know, about duality, and I just knew certain things. And the answer I received was that the information was given to my higher self, but I, the child, witnessed it. So I remembered. And I think it also had to do with something to do with the fact that I never completely forgot where I came from before I came into this life. So even though I had that beautiful, expansive experience, you know, around age 6, and like I remember being a baby, I remember being awareness, standing in the cot. Like I can remember that like it was yesterday, standing in the cot and having the same awareness that I have now, minus the conditioning.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I have such respect for children and babies. Yeah. I love them so much, because I remember being a baby, and I remember how, like, people think, oh, well, people have these horrible ideas. Like, you hear some people saying that they're stupid. They're not stupid. It's a ignorant thing to say. They're just geniuses and beautiful, and their souls, just like an adult. It's all soul. It's just in a smaller body, you know? We don't have a soul. We are a soul, just having a temporary human experience on planet Earth. I think that's what makes me a bit different, is that I fully realize that. I don't have to be convinced of that. I know that. So anyway, in contrast to that beautiful experience, I went through my childhood feeling a lot of fear, because I was squashed. I had a very dominant father, and it was kind of like a Victorian upbringing. So no hugs, no I love yous, very strict. And, you know, when I was about 6 years of age, I just felt this contraction, and I was very perceptive and sensitive to energy. And so I just kind of made the decision unconsciously to suspend my power to play the game, albeit a heavy game. And I grew up then and spent about 20 years once I became like an adult, well, in my teens. I was kind of searching for the answer because I missed what I knew. I missed it. I knew it was there. And it was like in this place or state, problems didn't exist. And I missed it so much because I felt separate from it. Now, I know now I was never separate, and you're never separate. Nobody is listening. We're never separate from this, but it really feels that way. And, you know, it felt lonely and disconnected not to be connected to this state. And so I spent 20 years looking for the answer. What I thought, I became an artist. I was always kind of looking for the light, because I remember even in painting, I was always painting light and looking for the light. And I still felt lost. Like, I worked in fine art auctioneering, and I became a painter, and I studied history of art, and I felt so lost. I put so much pressure on myself to find my purpose. And basically about 20 years later, I stopped. I felt something building in me one day, and I stopped and asked the question to my guides, you know, to my higher self, after all this time, after all the searching and discovering and study and seeking, what is the most important thing we can do to find what we're looking for and be happy? And I received the answer from the field of awareness, and it was: let go of struggle and know who you really are. And in that moment, and for the next 2 months, I received a way to use the childhood experience that I had, the profound spiritual experience that I had, and I received spiritual download about how we can be happy and how we can let go of struggle. And I applied it in my own life. I had to embody it first before I shared it with others. And I stepped out of the box I had been put in and into my true power. And this is my desire for you. This is my desire for other people who are ready for this, because the time has come for us to realize that we are not our minds, we're not our thoughts, we're not our accomplishments, our achievements, we're not our bodies. You know, we identify with all of these things. We have these things, but we are not this. And the time has come to step into our own power and into who we really are. So it's my passion to work with people to help them to access their truth so that they can live from their truth and be creative and tap into their intuition rather than from their conditioning.
Ooh, that's a great quote, great final quote. Tap into your intuition instead of the conditioning. So I love it. Okay, so one question that does come up, and that's all brilliant, and thanks for the backstory. It sounds like, that's fascinating that you were very in touch from an early age with this idea that as you came into this world, you still had this connection with what is before and after this life that we have in this human experience. Very, very interesting. So one thing that came up is when you're mentioning to, you're not, your life circumstances, you're not certain things. So then what would you, when you're working with people, what do you look at as what you are then? Is it something that's like less tangible, like you are? How would you fill that in, and how would you help somebody find that about like what you are?